Hey everyone, welcome back to the Triathlon Weekly News Roundup presented by thefeed.com. My name is Travis, and as always, we're rounding up the week's headlines. But before we do that, we're jumping into the weekend's races. Now, I've also got my PTO hat on today, as I'll talk about them a little bit later on in my hot take, as well as the article of the week and the video of the week, like we usually do. So diving in, let's look at those highlights from the weekend. I was there in person at 70.3 Oregon. Oh my goodness, was that a crazy event to go and film and spectate, because that downriver swim really does change the dynamic of the whole race. You get people coming out where you don't expect them, and it just makes the whole race go by so quickly. I was out there filming for Simon Shee, but also practicing a bit of race reporting for myself, because I would love to go and film and report for more races in the future, just like I will be next week at Milwaukee, and just like I did in the past for Challenge Roth. So let me know if you like this kind of content. Hopefully I can do it going forward in the future. But back to the race, we had Lionel Sanders looking like his old self, although I don't know if you saw in the interview I put up of him. He is not satisfied whatsoever from that result.
Gives me confidence that we're moving in the right direction, but no satisfaction whatsoever.
Despite hitting pretty much all of his goals he had for that race, he clearly wants more, and with the US Open coming up, you'll be able to see how he stacks up against the best. But still, all around, a great performance from him. I believe a 70.3 best bike power split of 363 watts. Trevor Foley just missed second place there. He caught up to Martin Uloa, and unfortunately was just dead when he reached him, and according to Martin, it was an extremely slow sprint finish for him to take the second place ahead of Trevor. Now, I think one of the best performances has to go to Mark Dubrick, because he had the fastest run split and swim split as well, but his run of 109 almost got him onto the podium. He just missed out on catching Trevor, and I know he was a little bit gutted after that. And on the women's side, we had Danielle Lewis. After Paula Findlay didn't make the start line there, she was definitely the favorite coming into that race, and she had a great bike and run for an overall fantastic performance. I wish I got an interview of her, but I was a bit of a headless chicken by that point after running around in the heat, so I just missed her. But yeah, fantastic. She'll be happy with that one going forward to the rest of her season. But a huge shout out to the RTS Real Tri Squad ladies, Lisa Bacheras, who biked phenomenally to really make that race interesting, and she came off the bike with a pretty healthy lead. However, she is needing hip surgery, so her run was always going to be a walk run according to her. But that was still an impressive performance, and it was fun to watch. And then Leslie Smith, who has gotten the wildcard spot for the US Open in Milwaukee, she had a great run, actually a great all-around day, and finished in second place there. And Batya Beard, who is moving up the ranks in the triathlon world, her phenomenal running is getting her pretty far with another podium spot there in third place. So great racing at Oregon. And yeah, with all the new equipment, with the mics, with the camera, it was chaotic for me, but super, super fun. Yeah, with this daily try, it's moving so fast that I feel a bit like this video.
Careful, please. Really careful. Not yet. Roger.
When I watched that, I thought that was really funny, and I thought it pretty much portrayed how I feel doing this channel some of the time. But I'm gonna keep cracking on. I'm having lots of fun with it. And then we also had Lake Placid Ironman, where Joe Skipper took the win on the men's side. He was definitely the favorite coming into the race after Alistair dropped out, but man, did Ben Hoffman give him a run for his money. Ben is just one of those really consistent guys who turns up for the right races at the right time, and yeah, just bikes and runs really steady. Actually swam much better than Joe in that race, and set himself up to potentially catch Joe at one stage. And Joe was saying it was absolutely horrendous because he wasn't getting any time splits on the run and wasn't sure where Ben was. So he managed to hold on, and I hope you guys all saw the video of Joe after the race when he accepted a handshake that wasn't a handshake from the lady who was interviewing him. That was absolutely hilarious and clearly showed how destroyed Joe was after that race. And then on the women's side there, oh my goodness, Alice Alberts, who I actually met at Ironman Texas a few months ago, she took such a surprising win there with a great all-around swim, bike, and run. Her bike really set her up for the win though. And yes, I couldn't believe hearing her story when I did back in Texas, that she'd just started triathlon in 2021 and that in 2022 she finally quit her full-time job as a nurse practitioner to keep doing it. And it really has paid off. She's now got a spot to Kona, and I'm really excited to track her and follow her along and see how she does at her debut race there. So that's the weekend's races. Super fun, just 2 North American races, which makes it easy to follow. But next weekend we've got a few more to cover, so we'll get into that in a bit. But before we do that, on to the week's news headlines. And at number 1, we've got Sean Conway. I gotta update you guys. He broke the record. He managed to do not just 102 triathlons in 102 days, Ironman triathlons at that. He actually went on and did a few more and broke the record then by 4 more days. So he did 105 in 105 days. The videos and footage from him completing and beating the record were phenomenal. Honestly, it's so inspiring. I don't even know how it's possible. And huge kudos to his wife, by the way, who he acknowledged and said she had to solo parent their 2 kids the entire time he was doing this, because obviously it took up every second of his time. Unbelievable, eating about 8,000 calories a day to pull it off. And yeah, huge congrats to Sean, who decided to stop based on the toss of a coin on the last day because he didn't actually want to stop doing it. So what a mind-blowing guy. I can't wait to see what he does in the future. He's always up to something fun. And from there, the other big headline I've seen is that Gustav Iden was not chosen to go to the Paris test event, apparently. Now, this is a bit of a rumor. I haven't heard anything official, but as of right now, the 3 athletes going to the Paris test event, which is a big event for going to the Olympics because you can automatically qualify if you do well enough for certain federations. And Kasper Stornes, Christian and Gustav's old partner, is actually on that start list officially instead of Gustav. So it's really tough right now for Norway. They've got 4 athletes trying to get to the games with the possibility of only 2 slots. They're all fantastic athletes. Gustav's not doing so well as he'd like to at the moment. And also Christian and Gustav are split apart from the Norwegian Federation, so that probably doesn't give them any bonus points for getting selection towards the games. And Christian did mention in a Triathlon Hour podcast saying that things were definitely a little rocky between them and the Federation when they split up. So super interesting to keep track of that. I wouldn't want to be trying to make it in the Olympics for Norway. And at number 3, we've got Ironman got caught. At 70.3 Swansea, they reused 2022 finisher shirts for 2023, and a lot of people weren't happy and complained. They said in response that they did it because of waste and sustainability, but they apologized and will be sending out new shirts to the finishers in due course. I thought that was funny that they did that. They didn't let anybody know they were doing that and kind of hoped to just get away with it. Never seems like a good idea, but yeah, I feel like there's other ways they can go about reducing waste at their events. Cheaping out on some t-shirts, what do you guys think about that? Not a cool move, it's fine, it's whatever. I don't think I'd care too much, but yeah, it's just interesting that they decided to do that. And then at number 4, kind of sad story, Georgia Taylor Brown has a calf injury. She'll not be racing the upcoming test event. She's got to sit back and recover now. Probably a good thing that this happened when it did versus later on next year. So hopefully she can recover. She still hasn't officially qualified for the Olympic Games. She's probably the favorite to do so on the British side, but there are some really tough competitors trying to qualify as well. So hopefully she recovers quickly and gets back to racing soon. The World Triathlon Circuit's not the same without her. And then at number 5, we've got more PTO start lists to go over. The Asian Open as well as the Wildcards were released. So these were released last week, of course, right after I put the news out. But we have now Annie Haug, Lucy Charles-Barkley back on the start line for this one, which is great to see. So we'll have the rematch between the podium at Ibiza of Annie Haug, Lucy Charles-Barkley, and Ashley Gentle. But what was interesting for me on the women's side was that there was no Laura Philipp. Interesting to see that she's chosen to do Ironman 70.3 races and the World Champs over doing the PTO races. And also, Daniela Ryf didn't make either the US Open or the Singapore race, so really surprised to see that. On the men's side, we have the huge headlines that not only is Gustav Iden racing, but Max Newman is back. Clearly, this favors him being so close to Australia, so we'll see him racing, taking on Christian and Gustav. That'll be interesting to see now that Gustav isn't racing the test event in Paris. Yeah, he might be in good form at that race, so good to see. I can't wait for that one. For the wildcards, we had Martin Van Riel Mike Phillips, an awesome oceanic athlete with an incredible amount of bike power. So he'll be fun to watch, especially if he can make it up there in the swim. He's a pretty good swimmer as well. Mika New, he's recovered from his injury that he had recently. And finally, we'll get to see that youngster who got 4th at the 70.3 World Champs coming in hot at the Singapore Open, as well as David McNamee, who needed a wildcard slot for this race. We've also got Ruth Astle, Amelia Watkinson, and 2 other oceanic athletes racing for the women. So really fun that we've got the start list. Everything for the PTO is set, and now we're just gonna have to buckle ourselves in for a busy time of racing come August. But if you want to hear lots more about those races and more races coming up, you'll have to check out my new preview podcast show, which is starting up hopefully this Friday. I recorded it with my co-host, who I'll introduce to you there, and we just went on far too long and we just got way too into it. So if you want to join in for some fun previewing every weekend's races and catching up on all the headlines throughout the week, you'll have to check it out. We are way too enthusiastic about it, and we dive into everything. So I think it'll be a fun one. But we've got one last headline to move on to, and that is that Challenge London, Challenge bought the London Triathlon race, which now has a pro race, is now featuring Sam Laidlow, which is interesting to hear because I thought he wasn't racing the US Open due to his calf tear that he had, but it looks like he's actually just chosen to do this London race instead. I think it's going to be awesome to seeing a pro race happening in the streets of London again, with the likes of Fenella Langridge and Emma Pallant-Brown also choosing to race that race over the US Open. So it should make that weekend extra fun, and can't wait to see the footage that comes out of London. Okay, so moving away from the headlines, and we're on to the video of the week. And this week, other than Joe's handshake that he did during his post-race interview at Ironman Lake Placid, I watched this one with Sweat Elite Training with Hayden Wild and Cameron Worth in Andorra, and it was just such a fun, candid video of them running through the mountains there of Andorra.
Just training to get through today, to be honest, right at the moment. But no, the Ironman World Championships.
I love Sweat Elite videos. They just record athletes training, and I could watch it all day. Kind of similar to what Talbot does with Lionel. But yeah, super fun, great video. Finally, on to the hot take, and this is because I read Chris McCormack's take on the PTO and a Try 24/7 article, and man, he was pretty dang critical. And that for me was a little bit harsh. I think it's still a little bit early to cast too many judgments on the PTO. I think they're doing great. I think they, they're bringing a lot to the sport, to the pros. I do agree with the money side of things. It'll be interesting to see how they survive and make it work. However, what I do think they need to do, and what everybody needs to do in triathlon, and this is my hot take, is sort out the calendar. It is such a mess. World Triathlon, for example, I remember talking to Morgan Pearson in an interview, and he said their calendar is all over the place as well. And it just shows itself this August. It might be a bit of a unique year, but with 70.3 Worlds right around the PTO events, and then also the World Champs right afterwards, Super League mixed up in there as well. It's just chaos. It's so hard to follow, even for someone like myself who does this pretty much full time, writes about it, tracks it, films it, and I have a hard time keeping track. So I really think, just like the rule book we talked about last week, that these organizations really need to come together and make a good, cohesive calendar that lets all of us fans track the sport a little bit better and gives a better opportunity for all the best athletes to race each other throughout the course of the year. So that's my hot take. And with that said, that is pretty much the end of the Triathlon Weekly News Roundup. I feel like this one was a little bit long, but I really enjoyed it, and thank you guys for staying tuned. Don't forget to check out that weekly podcast that I'm starting on Friday, so keep an eye out. Hopefully I can get it edited by then, which I should. As always, check out my other interviews, and a huge thanks to the sponsors of the show, DeBoer. Obviously, you know how much I love their wetsuits. Go check it out. As well as thefeed.com, which provides me with all of this amazing nutrition, but also they can give that to you. You've got $20 off from me every quarter, so make sure you sign up in my athlete club down below. I just got a heap of new gels from them, as well as a host of different endurance drink mixes. So I'm really excited to review all the gels, give you my top picks, as well as the drink mixes Right now, I've been using Infinite Nutrition. I absolutely love it. It's just kind of like an all-in-one. Just chuck it in the water bottle. Electrolytes, carbs, everything you need. Love the taste as well. So I'm gonna compare that against their new line that they've got on there called Victus. They've got a before, during, and after solution to training, which I'm really excited to check out. So I'll be comparing all of those coming up in some training videos that I'm gonna hopefully release possibly before Milwaukee US Open, but most likely afterwards. So stay tuned for that. Guys, as always, it's been a pleasure. I've talked too much. Thanks for all the support. Have a good one. Thank you for watching the video. If you're new around here, then don't forget to subscribe. This channel is all about helping triathlon become a huge sport through weekly news videos, highlights, motivational videos, race reporting, and anything else you can think of, with a splash of my own triathlon journey thrown in. The goal is for this to become the YouTube hub for everything professional triathlon, and I would love to do it full time to give back to you and create an amazing community. To help me do that, I need you to get behind me by supporting me for the price of a gel on either Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee. You can also join in on the conversation on Discord and follow me on Instagram. The more support, the more content. And don't forget, it's simple. Try every day. We'll see you in the next one.